तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्। तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्। भूर्भुवस्सुवः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्।
जय 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 हे गजानना,
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 गजानना हे गजवदना, गजानना हे गजवदना, जय 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 हे गजानना,
जय 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 हे गजानना,
पार्वती नंदन गजानना, पार्वती नंदन गजानना,
पार्वती नंदन गजानना,
पशुपति तनया गजानना,
पशुपति तनया गजानना,
पशुपति तनया गजानना,
पशुपति तनया गजानना,
आदि पूज्य देव गजानना,
आदि पूज्य देव गजानना,
आदि पूज्य देव गजानना,
आदि पूज्य देव गजानना,
जय 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 हे गजानना,
जय 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 हे गजानना,
गजानना हे गजवदना,
गजानना हे गजवदना,
जय 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 हे गजानना,
जय 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 हे गजानना,
पार्वती नंदन गजानना,
पार्वती नंदन गजानना,
पशुपति तनया गजानना, गजानना।
जय साई गुरुदेवा, साई गुरुदेवा।
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 गुरु सेव बिना निर्वाण नहीं, जय 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 साई गुरुदेवा।
जय साई गुरुदेवा, साई गुरुदेवा।
जय साई गुरुदेवा, साई गुरुदेवा।
तुम ही हो माता पिता, तुम ही हो साई गुरुदेवा।
तुम्ही हो माता पिता, तुम्ही हो साई गुरुदेवा।
तुम ही हो माता पिता, तुम ही हो साई गुरुदेवा।
तुम्ही हो माता पिता, तुम्ही हो साई गुरुदेवा।
सत्य स्वरूप राह दिखाओ, 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 साई गुरुदेवा।
गुरु सेव बिना निर्वाण नहीं, जय 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 साई गुरुदेवा।
जय साई गुरुदेवा, साई गुरुदेवा।
जय साई गुरुदेवा, साई गुरुदेवा।
गुरु सेव बिना निर्वाण नहीं, जय साई गुरुदेवा।
गुरु सेव बिना निर्वाण नहीं, जय साई गुरुदेवा।
जय साई गुरुदेवा, साई गुरुदेवा।
जय साई गुरुदेवा, साई गुरुदेवा।
तुम ही हो माता पिता, तुम ही हो साई गुरुदेवा।
तुम्ही हो माता पिता, तुम्ही हो साई गुरुदेवा।
सत्य स्वरूप राह दिखाओ, साई गुरुदेवा।
सत्य स्वरूप राह दिखाओ, साई गुरुदेवा।
गुरु सेव बिना निर्वाण नहीं, जय 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 साई गुरुदेवा।
जय साई गुरुदेवा, साई गुरुदेवा। जय जय भवानी माँ, अम्बे भवानी माँ।
जय भवानी माँ, अम्बे भवानी माँ।
जय जय भवानी माँ, अम्बे भवानी माँ।
जय भवानी माँ, अम्बे भवानी माँ।
अम्बे भवानी माँ, साई 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 भवानी माँ।
जय जय भवानी माँ, अम्बे भवानी माँ।
जय भवानी माँ, अम्बे भवानी माँ।
शिरडी निवासी माँ, परती निवासी 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 माँ।
हृदय निवासी माँ, साई भवानी 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 माँ।
जय जय भवानी माँ, अम्बे भवानी माँ।
जय भवानी माँ, अम्बे भवानी माँ।
अम्बे भवानी माँ, साई भवानी माँ।
अम्बे भवानी माँ, साई भवानी माँ।
जय जय भवानी माँ, अम्बे भवानी माँ।
जय भवानी माँ, अम्बे भवानी माँ।
शिरडी निवासी माँ, परती निवासी माँ।
शिरडी निवासी माँ, परती निवासी माँ।
हृदय निवासी माँ, साई भवानी 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 माँ।
जय जय भवानी माँ, अम्बे भवानी माँ।
जयतु रामा, जननी जानकी रामा। जयतु रामा, जननी जानकी रामा। जयतु रामा, जननी जानकी रामा।
नन्दकिशोरा नारायण
नन्दकिशोरा नारायण
नन्दकिशोरा नारायण
नन्दकिशोरा नारायण
नवनीतचोरा नारायण नवनीतचोरा नारायण
नवनीतचोरा नारायण
नन्दकिशोरा नारायण
नन्दकिशोरा नारायण
नरहरिरूपा नारायण
नरहरिरूपा नारायण
नरहरिरूपा नारायण
नरहरिरूपा नारायण
नादस्वरूपा नारायण
नादस्वरूपा नारायण
नादस्वरूपा नारायण
नादस्वरूपा नारायण
नन्दकिशोरा नारायण
नन्दकिशोरा नारायण
नवनीतचोरा नारायण नन्दकिशोरा नारायण
नन्दकिशोरा नारायण
नरहरिरूपा नारायण
नरहरिरूपा नारायण
नादस्वरूपा नारायण
नादस्वरूपा नारायण
नादस्वरूपा नारायण
नादस्वरूपा नारायण
नन्दकिशोरा नारायण हरि बोलो हरे राम नाम
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 हरि बोलो हरे कृष्ण 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 नाम
हरि बोलो सत्य साई राम
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 हरि बोलो हरे राम नाम
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 हरि बोलो हरे कृष्ण नाम
हरि बोलो हरे कृष्ण नाम
हरि बोलो सत्य साई राम
हरि बोलो सत्य साई राम
हरि बोलो हरे राम नाम
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 नमः शिवाय
शिवाय नमः शिवाय
नमः शिवाय नमः शिवाय
शिवाय नमः शिवाय
साम्ब सदा शिव 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 नमः शिवाय
गिरिजा शङ्कर नमः शिवाय
गिरिजा शङ्कर नमः शिवाय
गिरिजा शङ्कर नमः शिवाय
गिरिजा शङ्कर नमः शिवाय
भवानी शङ्कर नमः शिवाय
भवानी शङ्कर नमः शिवाय
भवानी शङ्कर नमः शिवाय
भवानी शङ्कर नमः शिवाय
लिङ्गोद्भवकर साई मनोहर
लिङ्गोद्भवकर साई मनोहर
लिङ्गोद्भवकर साई मनोहर
लिङ्गोद्भवकर साई मनोहर
नमः शिवाय नमः शिवाय
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 शिवाय नमः शिवाय
साम्ब सदा शिव नमः शिवाय
साम्ब सदा शिव नमः शिवाय
गिरिजा शङ्कर नमः शिवाय
गिरिजा शङ्कर नमः शिवाय
भवानी शङ्कर नमः शिवाय
भवानी शङ्कर नमः शिवाय
लिङ्गोद्भवकर साई मनोहर
लिङ्गोद्भवकर साई मनोहर
नमः शिवाय नमः शिवाय
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 नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
नमो भगवते राम
नमो भगवते रामरूपाय
नमो भगवते रामरूपाय
नमो भगवते रामरूपाय
नमो भगवते श्यामरूपाय
नमो भगवते श्यामरूपाय
नमो भगवते श्यामरूपाय
नमो भगवते श्यामरूपाय
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
राम रहीम कृष्ण करीम येशु बुद्ध महावीर
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 सर्वधर्म प्रिय साई देवाय
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 नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
नमो भगवते रामरूपाय
नमो भगवते रामरूपाय
नमो भगवते श्यामरूपाय
नमो भगवते श्यामरूपाय
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
राम रहीम कृष्ण करीम येशु बुद्ध महावीर
राम रहीम कृष्ण करीम येशु बुद्ध महावीर
सर्वधर्म प्रिय साई देवाय
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 नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
नारायण भज नारायण नारायण भज नारायण 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 भज नारायण नारायण भज नारायण 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 कंदन असुरन कंदन नारायण
offering our loving pranams at the divine lotus feet of our ever-present Master and invoking his presence and his benediction on all of us. Most revered elders, Mukundan sir and Manoj sir and all the other functionaries of the organization, and dear brothers and sisters, a very loving Sairam to all of you. Indeed, it is a very commendable series that you all have taken up. And it was wonderful to hear, the genesis of how you all started this. And I think it's a fantastic endeavor. It's a fantastic idea to actually have a series like this, a Navaratri of 9 days, or rather 9 evenings, when you are able to, after doing all the rest of the work during the day, you're able to immerse yourself in spiritual thoughts, in godly thoughts. So many congratulations to all the coordinators who have put together this wonderful series. Brother Sharath and sister were in contact with me, and so it's really wonderful that you all have done this even in such a difficult time. On that note, just to begin our session, may I request each one of you for 10 seconds, let us all close our eyes and let us invoke the divine energy within us, the divine love that is within us. And let us all pray for the well-being of the entire country. All those doctors, those nurses, all of those people who are right now struggling with this disease. And for all those others who live in that fear, let us pass on our love and our energy to all of them. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. I also pray that each and every one of you and all your family members enjoy the best of health. They are blessed with the best of health, all prosperity, and all that bliss of being in the divine fold. So coming to today's topic, a very interesting topic, and I was going through the discourse that Swami had given, and this is the valedictory discourse of the 2007 World Youth Conference. It's a beautiful discourse, just like all other discourses are, because in many ways, Swami, his each discourse is enough by itself. We don't need a second discourse at all. We just need this one discourse to understand all of spirituality, because that is how he is able to package the entire message of all the scriptures, of all the religions, of all the masters who have ever walked on the face of this earth. Swami, being the master of everything and everyone, he is able to succinctly put that entire message in just one discourse. And that is why it is said, as Professor Kasturi would say, every discourse is like an Upanishad. It is said that there are about 1,000 Upanishads, and what have continued till now are about 108 Upanishads. And out of these 108 Upanishads, there are the 10 major Upanishads. They are called the important Upanishads, and the reason why they are important is because Adi Shankaracharya has given his commentary, his bhashyas on these 10 Upanishads. And these Upanishads are what are called as Vedanta. And the reason I'm saying this is because Vedanta is supposed to be the pinnacle or the epitome of all Vedas, of all knowledge. The ultimate crux of the knowledge is Vedanta. And just imagine, this is why it is said, Swami's every discourse is like a Upanishad, is like a Vedanta. So it is as if, Swami is squeezing out all the Vedas and the Upanishad, and he's giving us that concentrated knowledge that is necessary for each one of us. So all we need to do is, we don't have to read all the scriptures, we don't have to write, do any other sadhana. All we need to do is take up that one discourse and dive deep into that. And so, let us do that with this particular discourse. So this discourse is about internalizing spiritual fundamentals. And as much as I would like to share a lot of thoughts, and I'm sure you also, would love to relax. It's around dinner time, and so I'm sure some, delicious dishes are being prepared in your homes, and so that fragrance must be wafting through the kitchen into the rooms wherever you are sitting, and some of your attention must be there. And so for me to actually get that attention onto this session, I want to, in fact, ask you a question. Okay, so I will just request maybe a couple of you to answer, this question. This is very important because I really also want to hear from you all before we get into this topic. So the question is, in this entire title, internalize spiritual fundamentals to attain divinity. Internalize, obviously, we have to internalize. So let's leave that part. To attain divinity is the final end product, and so let's leave that also. So there are two important words here, which is spiritual fundamentals. Okay, so I want to ask you to begin with, what do you think, what in your opinion is spirituality? So if any one of you, who wishes to answer very quickly, I'm not expecting a very elaborate definition. Just your thought on, if someone were to ask you, I'm sure most of you are either students or you are all working in different organizations. If somebody were to come and ask you, hey, you go to the Satya Sai organization and the Satya Sai Baba, etc. Why do you go there? And you will say, yeah, it's a spiritual organization. So then they may ask you, and therefore I'm going to ask you, what is spirituality? What is the spiritual, thing that you talk about? So may I ask, any one of you to very quickly respond. What is spirituality? What does spirituality mean to you? Yes, anybody?
Sairam sir. Actually,
Yeah.
to me, spirituality is like understanding the Atma within us and
Okay.
understanding that the Atma within us is actually a part of the Paramatma itself.
Wonderful. Thank you, brother Ravin. Ravin, right? Your name is. That's wonderful.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So to understand the Atma, now that is such a big word, right? Atma. We have heard it all the time. We keep reading about it. Somebody has written, constantly aware of the inner divine energy. Wonderful. So being spiritual is to constantly be aware of the divine energy within. Anybody else? Any of the sisters? What is spirituality to you? Yes, I think the sisters are, they say Maunam Sarvartha Sadhana. The best sadhana to have is to have, to keep silent. So I think because it is only in the depths of the silence that the voice of the Lord can be heard, it is said. So I think most sisters are preferring to be silent. Okay, so if someone were to tell you that, okay, so are you able to actually constantly, be aware of the divine energy within, or are you able to constantly tell yourself that you are the Atman, which is a part of the Paramatman? And if you were to tell that, what if I say that, hey, that's very scary, man. I really don't want, I don't want to know that I am Atman or anything like that. Imagine if you were to tell your colleague that actually, you are not so and so. Okay, let us say, for example, um, somebody's name is Akash. So you say that, hey, Akash, you are actually not Akash. You are the Atman. And that brother, I'm sure he'll kind of look at you and he'll say, okay, yeah, nice meeting you, man. Have a lovely day. I think I'll leave. Right? I'm sure that'll be the response of 90% of your colleagues or your friends in college. So how are you going to tell them, okay, that you are the Atman or you are the divine energy? Absolutely, that is the right answer, and that is what Swami has always told us, and that is the truth. That is in fact the truth. But you see, if that is the ultimate reality, then what is the fundamental about it? So here we are talking about spiritual fundamentals. So my next question to you is, why did you come, if you are the Atman and you know that you are the Atman and you want to be constantly aware of the divine energy, then why have you come to the Sai organization? Why should I come to the Satya Sai organization if I know that I am already the Atman? That's the next question.
Sir,
Sairam?
my name is Rikmini. May I respond about spirituality in my vision?
Sure, please do.
Sir, for a common man or a common woman, it's about spirituality, it's all about love,
Okay,
unconditional love.
wonderful. Thank you, sister. Very nice. Spirituality is about unconditional love. Now, that is also quite difficult, isn't it? Let alone loving the entire world, we find it difficult to love even sometimes our own family members that well, isn't it? Especially so because our love with our family members is usually conditional love, right? Because mother, father, brother, sister, husband, wife, that is why we love them. So there is already a conditionality in that. And here, Swami is talking to us about unconditional love, right? So how do we actually get that unconditional love? What is the starting point for that? So, Sister Rukmini, thank you so much. I would just humbly request you to mute your mic. Um, yeah, thank you. Just mute your mic, mute yourself. Yeah, okay. So, the answer to that spiritual fundamental, and of course, the second question is still, up for anybody to answer. Why do you think we need an organization for that? Why do we need Satya Sai Seva organization? For that matter, any other organization? Why do you think we need that in order to, know that once we know the scriptures have told us, Swami has told us we are the Atman. So then, why do I know what's the purpose of joining the organization? Yes, anybody?
Sairam, sir.
Sairam?
Sir, once we come into Swami's fold, we have an organized routine. We follow a disciplined life. We get to know a lot of spiritual teachings and lectures, and we even try to put them in our daily life and practice them. So that's how the organization helps us, and it also helps us to not get distracted by the worldly pleasures. So
Okay, thank you so much. That's very nice. So she said a couple of the sister pointed out some very, very important points. One is it puts you into a sense of discipline. It gives a structure to your spiritual life. That's number one. So the number two is constantly keeping us in good company. There's somebody over here who also wrote about satsangam. And yes, that's absolutely right. Satya Sai organization creates that ambience for us to inculcate all of that. It's a service come spiritual organization. Yes, fantastic. So thank you for those answers. They're absolutely right. So can we then establish one fact? And that is that this organization is meant for us I mean, it is a vehicle to take us from this part, from where we are, to where we are supposed to go. Okay, the reason I'm saying this is, keep this very, very importantly in your mind. Okay, that this is a vehicle. I'm going to repeat that. The Satya Sai organization is a vehicle. It is a channel for us to take us from where we are, our current position, that is in our current spiritual state, to where we are supposed to go, which is what Swami has mentioned in this discourse: attain divinity. Right? So there is no other purpose for the organization, or every other purpose of the organization is subservient to this one single most important purpose. What is that? To transform us, or to take us from where we are to where we are supposed to be. Right? So every other thing, every other activity that we have, okay, is supposed to be, you're supposed to measure it according to this particular, overarching objective that we have in front of us, which is that I am fundamentally divine. Okay, keep that in mind, because uh, it so happens, and it is very, very natural, that in every organization, this feeling kind of, we all join the organization with this thought, but somewhere along the way we kind of forget about it. Why? Because when we become, some bhajan coordinator, or we become some state coordinator, or we become some, youth coordinator, and then our mind gets lost in the activities of the organization, rather than constantly remembering for what I joined the organization. Right? It becomes about how many youth are there, how many bhajans we are doing, how much Narayan Seva we did, all of that, because that's very easy to measure, isn't it? Right? So keep that in mind, that is the single most important reason why we have joined this organization. So having said this, let me start with, I'm sure you all must be looking forward to listening to a lot of Swami's experiences. So let me start with a couple of experiences. Swami, in fact, refers to that in this discourse. And this is a very famous one. Most of you must have heard. Once Swami was sitting with all the students, and Swami asked the question. Suddenly he popped in the question, who am I? Right? And obviously everybody started by saying, Swami, you are Swami. You are. Then Swami said, no, Satya Sai Baba is just my name. It's a name given to this body, but who am I? Then they said, Swami, you are Shiva Shakti Swarupa. And Swami said, no, that is just a vision that I had given to somebody, right? So then who am I? Then, then they said, Swami, you are Sarvadevata Swarupa. You are the embodiment of all gods. Okay. And then Swami said, that is your imagination, right? And then, of course, it went on, Swami, you are Karuna Swarupa, you are, your Prema Swarupa, your Prema Sagara, your Dina Bandhu, your Patita Pavan, all that. And Swami says, all of that is the adjectives that you have given to me. That is not who I am, right? And then eventually we all know, Swami says, very, very simply, I am I, right? Now, what is this I am I? It's a very nice statement to hear. Oh, I am I. It's such a cool statement. Somebody comes and asks you, hey, who are you, man? And you can simply say, hey, I am I. And that, that person will kind of, he will do pranams and he will leave you, right? So it's a wonderful statement. But let us focus and let us try and understand, what does Swami mean by saying I am I? Okay, just think about it. Ask yourself this question, and this is an exercise that I will, kind of leave with you. Ask yourself this question: who am I? Okay, so let me take my own example. Okay, and you can do this with yourself. This is just an exercise. So if I say I am Ame Deshpande, then upon a little more analysis, I will immediately realize that Ame Deshpande is a name given to this person. It is not, I am not Ame Deshpande, because in this very birth, there was a point of time when I was not Ame Deshpande. When I had come out of my mother's womb, and before the Namakaranam, which is before the naming ceremony, there was at least some 10, 15, 20 days, maybe 1 month, when I was not Ame Deshpande, right? In this very birth, ask yourself this question: There was a time when you were not Pramod, or you were not Raveen, or you were not Pratiksha. You were absolutely, you did not have a name. Eventually, somebody had to identify you with something, and so a name was attached to you. So you are not the name. Okay. Then if I say, I am an Indian, because as soon as I was born, I am an Indian. So definitely that's who I am. Think about it. That when you say I am an Indian, okay, that is a nationality that has been given to you because you happen to be born in a particular geography, right? Imagine if you were born 100 years before, this was not even called India at that time. Okay, it would have been some Madras presidency, or Travancore. You would have been in some Travancore kingdom. You wouldn't have been an Indian. You would have been a Travancorean, let us say. Okay, or you would have been a Madrasi, or you would have been a what is that? You had Madras presidency, and then you had the Mysore presidency, etc., etc. So think about it. Me being an Indian is also just a label which is given to me. Okay, let's continue to do this, this analysis, and you will immediately realize what Swami says is so beautiful, because actually you are nothing. Everything is a label which is given to you. For example, even Manoj sir referred to me as Dr. Ame Deshpande. Okay, so this Dr. Ame Deshpande, is this who I am? No, I'm definitely not Ame Deshpande, right? Because just a name given to me. Okay, am I a doctor? But doctor I got only in 2015, right? Before that I was not a doctor, right? So once again, this is a label. So you will come to know that everything that is given to you, okay, that you're an Indian, or you're a Keralite, or you're a doctor, you're an engineer, right? You're a president, you're a district president, etc., etc. All of those are only labels attached to you, and therefore, who are you? Right? It's a fantastic exercise to actually do, and this is in fact the fundamental of spirituality. That is why Swami is starting with, who am I? If you look at the discourse, the first thing Swami is telling the youth is, find out, inquire, who are you? Right? So that's the first story that I wanted to kind of to start off. The second thing that I wanted to say is, you have no idea how incredibly fortunate you are for going through what you're going through currently, which is this satsang series. I hope and I pray that many more youth, in fact, join in this very unique experiment that we are doing. I'll tell you the reason why. When Swami was in his physical form, I'm sure all of you know, you must have heard, you must have read about it, that Swami would spend so much time with his students and the youth. The youth and the students were so dear to Swami. Swami would often say, 75% of my time I'm spending with, with students, which is almost, consider that 75% of his time is almost all the waking hours, right? Because 25% of the time we are sleeping, right? So 6 hours if you sleep in a day, which means for 25% of the day you're sleeping. So 75%, which means his entire waking time he was spending with students and youth. And so a lot of devotees, senior devotees, would ask Swami, why do you spend so much time with them? So what is so special about them that you spend so much time with the students and the youth? And you know what Swami answered? Swami said, because they have given their most important time to me, right? During their most important years of their life, while they could have pursued so many other things, they have given up that and they have chosen to walk on this. And when you choose God, God chooses you. So we have to be incredibly, you have to thank your parents, and you have to thank your past karmas, and you have to thank the Lord for his divine grace, and you have to thank so many entities for you to be where you are currently, which is to be on the spiritual path.
Om Tat Sat Shri Narayana Guru पिता प्रभु तू, रुद्र विष्णु तू, राम कृष्ण तू, कहीं मता हो तू, वासुदेव को विश्वरूप तू, चिदानंद हरि तू, अद्वितीय तू, अकाल निर्भय आत्मलिंग शिव तू, आत्मलिंग शिव तू, आत्मलिंग शिव तू।
ॐ जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी सत्य साई हरे, भक्त जना संरक्षक, भक्त जना संरक्षक, पति महेश्वरा। ॐ जय जगदीश हरे, शशिवदना श्रीकरा, सर्वा प्राणपते स्वामी, सर्वा प्राणपते, आश्रित कल्पलतिका, आश्रित कल्पलतिका, आपदान्धवा। ॐ जय जगदीश हरे, मातपिता गुरुदैवमु मरि अन्तयु नीवे स्वामी, मरि अन्तयु नीवे, नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ, नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ, नागेन्द्रशयना। ॐ जय जगदीश हरे, ओंकार रूप ओजस्वी हो साई महादेवा, सत्य साई महादेवा, मंगल आरती अंधुको, मंगल आरती अंधुको, मंगल गिरिधारी। ओम जय जगदीश हरे, नारायण नारायण ओम, सत्य नारायण 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 ओम, नारायण नारायण ओम, सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम, सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम। ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा, नारायण नारायण ओम, सत्य नारायण 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 ओम, नारायण नारायण ओम, सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम, सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम। ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा, नारायण नारायण ओम, सत्य नारायण 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 ओम, नारायण नारायण ओम, सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम, सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम। जय सद्गुरुदेवा। शांति शांति शांति, समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु, समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु, समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु। शांति शांति शांति। जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय।